All right, now we're legal.
Hmm.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the January 11th AMSI SEQP Telecon. Good to have you all here. Hopefully, it's some of you have sun somewhere. They're looking at the weather forecast, at least in the United States, even the lower tier of Canada. It doesn't look too pretty out there. So I guess we're better off inside here and staying away from all the crazy politics and all that and doing ham radio. All right, let me pop the agenda up on the screen real quickly. So Ed's got some reports for us. We got to remember to talk about Dallas. If Bill's on,
Yeah,
I'm not sure he'll be here or not. I know
yeah,
we've got a lot going on. We've got a pretty good jump start on our podcast and that sort of thing. The magazine articles are moving along pretty well and that sort of thing. So Ed, I guess I'll turn it over to you because you got
yeah.
some.
It will be just really informal, I guess. And actually, we've done a little bit of the meeting just before we got on. So I'll start with the stuff that I'm the most organized stuff on, and that's really the sort of the press releases right now. Is that we wrote one for the Gladstone Signal, challenge, and I'm looking at Gary and said, did we actually release it? So we need to check that out. And then from there, we can send it to Mackenzie and put it up on QRZ and everybody else. So, I mean, that's a double check. I know we've got it. The question is, when do we want to put it out and get it done that way? So, that's number one. We've got one also as an upcoming sort of save the date and background on the Cleveland conference. I think we've got actually two in play on that because mine's a little bit more of just, why should you go? That type of thing is more in terms of more of the specifics. And I think that's, and obviously, and also we've got a rough draft in terms of, sort of the observatory ham radio club partnership that we've got a first like a 1.0 draft on that will probably move in the next couple of days, one way or the other. So, I mean, that's the piece there. There's also a piece up on QRZ just regarding, a call, sort of a call if you want a presentation. That's been up there, and actually, it pulls a little bit every other day. Okay, we're seeing some clubs come in, and that's really good. It's also up on Amateur Radio Newsline right now, and I also sent it to amateurradio.com, and that should be up this week as well too. In terms of publications, and obviously Gary, jump in, okay, in terms of just stuff in terms of work in progress. Is that I mean the biggest piece this week is that we're going to get a story about anywhere but like between 100 and maybe 300 words, maybe closer to 200, in the Canadian Amateur. I've worked with Alan Griffin up there, who is responsible, sort of the sort of the executive director for RAC, and he's agreed that he'll run a sort of a backgrounder in terms of what we're doing and why you should participate for the March-April edition. We also agree that we'll follow with a longer story that may have a little bit more of a Canadian take coming out of the eclipse when we've got more observations that we can report on. So we don't have a fixed date. It'll sometime be between now or April rather, and the end of the year and closer to the end of the year. We've got a story in, right now regarding CQ, which if you remember from last week, Rich Moseson, W2VU, who is the editor, promised that there'll be another edition. If not, he'll release the story to us. So we'll have to look around if that doesn't come to pass in terms of where we want to place the story. Story for QST, looking at Mackenzie. She's got her deadline coming up in the next couple of days. I've reached out to Becky rather unsuccessfully, Becky Schoenfeld, who's the QST editor, just to follow with her in terms of confirmation. But I plan to, I'm doing a back office workaround tomorrow to make sure that I get back to her, make sure that we're square in terms of that. And then Gary, we had what was it? Was it NCJ that ran the story or QEX or
Yeah, National Contest Journal.
NCJ? That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we just approved that one, so that'll be
Yeah.
in the March-April issue.
Yep. So I mean, so we've got basically all, I think the only piece that in fact I had asked Becky about on the air, just so that we're not missing it, because it wasn't part of her, sort of outbound inventory. But when I get to her probably tomorrow, I hope, even late today, we can sort of, put that together to make sure that we've got something that we're covered from that standpoint. In terms of podcasts, we've got two scheduled just between this week and last week. Nathaniel's agreed to be on Rhea Jerem's N2RJ's, Rhea's Shack coming up. I think he's doing it with her next week because she's at the Consumer Electronics Show. And then Gary has gracefully agreed to do the Amateur Radio Roundtable podcast this Monday night. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, right? This Monday night. So, and we're looking for a couple of others, obviously, and it's great that we got two pretty much right off the bat between this week and last. If you're listening to any podcasts, is anyone here following any podcasts regularly that you think that I should pitch? Okay, Greg, go ahead.
Well, they just, it's called QSO Today by Eric. Have you
Sure,
heard?
yeah.
But he just normally does stories on individuals, but maybe he'll just, before he starts every week, he puts a blurb out about stuff. So
Yeah, and we do send him stuff, and actually Nathaniel was featured a couple of years back, okay, as part of QSO today. But yeah, that's a good follow. We can certainly drop him a blurb, much like we do the ICQ podcast in the UK, and they pick up our stuff on a regular basis. So that's a good one. Okay, anything else in terms of sort of podcast that you're listening to that I should particularly signal out? Okay, I mean I've got a short list of about 5 or 10. But if there's anything that you've got a particular that you listen to particularly you think others do, okay, drop me a note, okay, and we can pick up on that. In terms of just presentations, Nathaniel was at Ham Radio University on Saturday. Pretty good crowd, really good presentation from what I've heard. And he also followed on Monday night with the Frankfurt Radio Club, which is a contest club, which are obviously a group of people that we really want to have on board. Contesters available on Monday as well. We're also pitching Potomac Valley and also Yankee Clipper. So that so we cover at least the major East Coast clubs in terms of getting sort of a presence and obviously making them aware, which follows up off of our email that we did last week, as opposed to just as a reminder and save the date. And just all the details regarding you as a contester is what you can do to be part of the SEQP and everything else. In terms of workshop calls, I don't see Bill Kate on the call. I've asked him to get out a note to all the section managers. He's the New Mexico section manager, if you don't know. Just as a reminder, if you're looking for a workshop that we can do for your club or organization, just to get that out and also to save the date. I've also moved it to the PIC reflector, which will go out tomorrow morning, so that they're on board as well too. So we're covering the section managers and the PICs and the PIOs in terms of just overall work. The other presentation, just in terms of at least just from my background, is that I did Limark yesterday, last night with the Long Island group. There were about 300 hams. There was a rather large attendance. Thought it was a rather nice dovetail, as we mentioned, I guess, just before we formally started the call, because Nathaniel had done more of the physicist version of the presentation on Saturday. And obviously ours is more of a general interest presentation. And, for people who attended both, so that they really dovetailed rather nicely. And, Limark promises that they'll probably have about 20 people that'll participate in the SEQP, which I think is a nice follow on it. And as I mentioned, I know Gary's going to bring up the revised presentation deck. It worked rather well for me. So if you're doing a presentation, you might want to take a look at it and see how it works for you and what you might want to do in terms of any modification that's required. Otherwise, I think that's about it. Okay, Spectrum Monitor was also a publication, obviously, that we've got on our short list between now and April. So I've covered publications, podcasts, presentations, workshop call for sort of us to do a presentation to your club, and we talked a little bit about PR. And Gary, maybe we'll save Dallas just to see if Bill comes on the call. So,
hey, Ed.
Over to you. So, I see Ron. Sorry, I didn't see you there. So,
no problem. On the Spectrum Monitor, I'm looking at a February 15th, trying to have everything ready and submitted. And that puts us towards the middle of March, which I thought would be about perfect.
Yeah, timing's perfect for that. So.
Yeah, so that's kind of where that's at. I've reached out to Nick, and I fleshed out my outline and started typing it up. And then what else? Oh, you were talking about Eric with QSO Today. He usually doesn't do any announcements on everything, but he will interview people. And so, Ed, you might, or if you want, I end up communicating with him on stuff. I've done presentations and things for him, but you might be a good person to be on, possibly to talk about things that you've done and then relate it back to the Eclipse and the ham site,
Yeah.
or somebody else, even Gary or somebody. But anyway, just wanted to throw that
That's
out.
that's good
and
thought. I
about
mean, I'm really not in the business of pitching myself, and I know that Gary or Nathaniel has been on. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, we
Nathaniel was
certainly
on,
can
and-
follow with him and see what he's interested. And
and-
perhaps we can get one of our staff experts,
In fact, it was
as a ham in terms of a profile.
it was really interesting
Yeah.
that if you've ever listened to the one with Nathaniel, he's about 20 minutes into it, and all of a sudden he goes, "Oh," and there's a pause, and Eric's like, "Yes," and he goes, "I just got approved. We just got our grant." And the first initial grant for HamSci was while he was looking at an email being interviewed by Eric. And that's when he first announced it and first saw it. So just a little bit of HamSci trivia there.
That's great.
I happened to be listening to it that week. And that was the first I'd ever heard of HamSci. But and then we're going to do some stuff at the Rocky Mountain Convention.
Yes.
That's going to be after the Eclipse. But I'm the chairperson and in charge of all the program, the presenters. And so I can pretty much guarantee there will be a presentation on it.
That'd be great.
At that convention.
Yeah, and obviously using any pre-announcements for the conference in terms of just sort of, the get on the air and participate, that type of thing would be great. So.
Yeah, I'll be doing stuff at least in Utah, and some of the other section managers. I'm working with 8 others for the Rocky Mountain Convention. So I may that's a great idea, Ed. I might just throw in something when we're talking about the convention and just say, "Oh, by the way," yeah, great idea. I hadn't even thought about that. Thanks.
Yeah. Hey, Ward, has Eric ever interviewed you for QSO today?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Would you be willing?
Actually, he has.
I've
heard Ward on Eric's thing.
Okay.
Well, okay. When was the last time I did that?
That was a long time ago.
It was like about 4.5 years ago, I think, Ward.
Yeah, I forgot.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't know until I've sort of always looked at the master list, but you can never get a sense of, has anybody ever popped up, more than once, that type of thing. But if you'd be interested, I'll drop you a note privately, and maybe we can pursue it. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
And thanks, Greg, for the tip. So that's a good reminder. Yeah. Gary, that's all I have. Okay.
Well, that was a lot.
Sorry for the time, man.
No. You got a lot going on. That's
Yeah.
fine. It's this is our crunch. It's our before Christmas thing. If we were a department store, of course they start about in August now selling stuff for Christmas. But now, but anyhow.
Hey, Gary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to tell Ed, I agree with Gary. Don't apologize, because I can remember like 3 years ago where the publicity and PR part took about 3 minutes, and then we went into the meeting. So I don't think you need to apologize for all of the good publicity going out.
Well, what I like about it too is there's just such a tremendous variety too. I mean, from the print publications to the online stuff. We've talked to small clubs. Flymark was, 300 people. Nathaniel was at what was it called? Ham Radio University. That had to be a big deal over the weekend. So we're getting a tremendous amount of exposure for really it's an entirely volunteer organization when you think about it. I mean, we're not incorporated. We're not a 501c3. There's really no legal framework or anything else. It's just a bunch of people who enjoy what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish and getting together and making it happen. So that's got to be a good feeling. It is to me. I know that. All right, so good, Ed. That was a lot. On the standard presentation, let me just flip the screen over real quick on that, just to remind everybody, folks, what that was. Let's see. Let me find the right screen. Okay, get this thing out of the way. And it's not sharing it, is it? Share screen, come on.
Hey, Gary.
Yeah.
While you're bringing that up, I noticed there was some of us that had a question about the virtual. I mean, as much as I would love to go to the workshop, it's just not there in the finances and stuff. But it might be nice, rather than have a lot more questions, if there was a way to put something on the workshop site to something that says virtual attendance will be announced in the future, something like that, to avoid any more emails or traffic. Just a quick thought.
Yeah, Ron, that's a good idea. And what I'll propose that to the 3 or 4 people on the local organizing committee have done the work. I didn't create that webpage, so I don't feel real comfortable going in and changing anything. I will make that suggestion to Christina and Nate and Matt and ask them to do that. That makes a whole lot of sense. It really does. Even if the link's not available now, we can say it'll be ready in the future. So I'll make a note of that for tomorrow. If I don't highlight that note, I will forget it's there. Okay. All right, let me see if I can bring the standard presentation up, see if I can do that. Are we seeing a PowerPoint or a PowerPoint-like screen?
Yeah.
All right, good. So if you know, there's a couple of us have done this in the past. If somebody wants to dip their toe in there and it's got a local radio club or whatever else you want to do a presentation, be aware that this thing's available. It's not locked down by any means. You're welcome to go in and edit it, add stuff, delete stuff. We're not real prim and proper about that whole thing. In fact, you know, the first couple of slides are fairly blank. You want to put your name and your bio, whoever you are in there and that type of thing. But there's a little bit about the history and the background of HAMSI, what we're all about. But it jumps right into the Eclipse, why I think people are interested in the Eclipse, some of the history of the Eclipse, going back thousands of years, or even hundreds of years, about astrologers and things that used to make those predictions. But pretty quickly it rolls into not necessarily the science, but yeah, I guess it would be the science of how eclipses occur and why there was a difference between the annular eclipse in October and the total eclipse in April. Some slides that I've taken from others. Believe me, I didn't create all these by any means. Just reminding people what the eclipse paths were, but talk about our friendly ionosphere because that's all about what we're doing. Some of the eclipse effects on the ionosphere and why we're studying the eclipse and how it's similar but different to the normal day-night variations that we see. Nathaniel's graph is in here. It's almost worth seeing again. It's pretty good. I clipped out last year's obviously and just have the April version in there now.
It's always a hit.
So that's that's worth the price of admission right there. Let's see. Let's get down to the next slide. Come on, you. Trying to edit. And then I got some stuff, of course, promote our events, the festival, our QSO party, the Gladstone, the Grape, the TDOA, the Medium Wave, the VLF. Everything gets a little bit of a mention. A little more details in the QSO party, the links to the rules, the Gladstone thing. I've got 3 slides in on that because I'd like to up the participation a little bit. We were a little under 100, or more than a little under 100. I'd like to get it over 100. Trying to promote that. Of course, the rules and info, and of course the link to the results now. A little bit about the Grape, Steve's TDOA event. Oops, I see I've got to edit this. One of the things I did today was fix up that web page. I'll have to fix that later. And then, you know, in a summary, what are we doing about this? Why we're doing it, and what we're trying to learn. And this then a little bit into the observations from back in October, a little explanation of the difference between observations, what we saw, and the findings, why we saw it. But if we set the expectation properly that the findings may not be available for people for some time. And then some of these graphs, I think most of you have seen these. They've been on the HAMSI websites last couple of months. Some interesting stuff from, I don't think Nick is here today, but some interesting graphs of his, and I try to make the point about having some control data. We're taking data before the eclipse occurs, not just on the day of the eclipse. Try to educate people a little bit there. And also some interesting graphs from Rob Robinette from KFS and KPH out in California about some of the eclipse effects we observed there. And as always, Ed says, make the sale, try to ask for the sale, right? Get people interested in participating, tell them what they can do, remind them, hit them over the head with it, I guess. And then acknowledgements and that sort of thing, and obviously time for questions. So there's 35 slides there. If you use them all, yeah, it probably takes 35 to 45 minutes to get through it, but you can pick and choose depending on your audience. So again, be aware that's there. It's out in the ham side drive. I just have to send somebody a link to it, and it's available to you. So, okay, let's see. The other thing, I've been going through the website trying to fix all the dates from 23 to 24 where it's appropriate, which is most places. And occasionally I miss some. So if you see something that doesn't look right, please let me know about it and I'll fix it up. One thing I just finished before the call. Ham site at the Hamcation. Is this screen showing up on the screen?
Not yet.
Okay, sorry. Oh, Nick is there. Good. There, hopefully it's talking about the Hamcation now. Good.
Yep.
So yeah, just their logo and where we're gonna be. Stop by and say hello. I set up the need to meet thing in case somebody's there and said, hey, I'd like to spend a couple hours in the booth at noon on Friday or whatever, Saturday, whatever. You can go in there and drop your name into the schedule and we'll be aware of who's coming and that sort of thing. So nothing too fancy, but at least I'll put this on the front page and announce it on the Google group list server too.
Yeah,
So
and
we can
that's the
find-
social media post, Mackenzie. So if we get squirrel it in a couple of times between now and February 9th, that'll be great.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Okay.
Come visit us in the flesh.
Yep. Let's see. What else is going on? Let's see, if we go back to the home page, and as Ed was saying, we want to, I did get a note up there about the results from the Gladstone Signal Spotting Challenge. The full results are up. This is just a shortened version that shows the top 3 scores in the various categories. While you get to the full results, and there's about 10 pages here. Just about a page and a half of reading. Our attributions, and then the details of who entered and how many QSOs and reports are really transmitting and received reports for the various modes and that sort of thing. So, and then some nice, I think people sent in some nice photographs too.
Yeah.
Of,
Was the
cases.
QSO party up on 3830? I promised myself I was going to look and then I never did.
I don't believe it was.
Okay.
Just because it's a 1 or 2 time thing. Most of
Yeah.
the stuff that Bruce has up there, it's recurring.
Yeah, and I know he helped us promote it, so okay.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, we'll need him again. That's, in fact, I should put that on my to-do list because he'll have to change his robot before April. So that's a good reminder. List of stuff. Anything else anybody's got or wants to
Yeah,
discuss or
just
bring up?
the 2 loose ends. Obviously, Bill KATE's in here. We got a note, an email the other day, again from our friend at NOAA, Kimberly, inquiring about us participating for the total eclipse in Dallas. And I thought we had settled that. I thought Bill, if you remember, Bill KATE worked with them in Albuquerque, but I think he also found a partner for us in Dallas, and we need to get back to him just to confirm for her that either yes or no we'll be participating with them. It was an event that they're doing that NOAA is participating with at the Cotton Bowl, if my memory serves. So I mean, we need to close that loop just to make sure that we don't leave her disappointed. The other piece is just, I'm looking at Nick here. Nick, there was a comment last night on the Limart presentation from an amateur who was up in Watertown, New York, who was very, very interested in what you're doing. And I gave her your coordinates. So you should, and I think her name was Audrey, if I'm not mistaken. So, but expect something either, through your email direct or hope, or also through just the Hamsci mailbox, and hopefully we can forward that on, because she said that she was very, very interested in taking a look at the medium wave portion of it. So,
Okay, excellent.
Okay,
We'll
yeah.
look forward to that.
yep. And let me know if she reaches out. Okay. So, because I can get back to the organizer, just,
Yeah.
and maybe try to close that loop if it's still open. So,
Yeah, sure. Great.
mhm.
Okay, I was looking, my drive here, if it'll sync up in the cloud, for the NASA, the NASA display that Nathaniel had mentioned last week. And let's see if I can open this thing. I think it's opening. Give me a second. Yeah, let me share this again. Okay, hopefully we're seeing a NASA. This is designed to be like 6 feet tall. This is pretty cool. All about the total eclipse, heliophysics, big year, safe viewing, and that sort of stuff. But the neat thing about it, it's got this blank section here. We can put some ham site specific information here. And then we're going to take it to Orlando and whatnot. But NASA's got a little problem with the files that they had up on the website. The editable files were not blank in the middle. They had content in there. So we're trying to find the person who created the original files and is going to clean that up. But just for other people, not just for us, but if you've got an event or you've got something going on, NASA put this out there. It's for the public domain. All you gotta do is download the files, and I'm sure it's a couple of bucks to get it printed locally, but it is a nice kind of all-in-one poster and display on the eclipse for April.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll have one too, but we'll see. They've got to fix their files. All right. Okay, that gets to the bottom of my list. Anybody else have anything on their list?
Just help with podcasts. If you want to recommend any or one that you're really following, building on Greg's QSO today. So.
All right. Okay, that's it.
Gary, one question. This is to do with the workshop. There's something there about submitting abstracts and so forth, but what really is being looked for, shall we say? Do you know, or maybe this is a Nathaniel question? I think I sent you something, sort of what has happened with the medium wave project so far. But is it sort of expected that I produce an abstract, or would it be, would it be appreciated or what? I really don't quite know what the workshop is going to be about.
Well, it would definitely be appreciated and it would definitely be welcome. Just looking at the workshop page right now, to quote, "We are especially looking for speakers with presentations showing analysis of ionospheric observations, ideas and proposals for the design of personal space weather station and instrumentation." We're also accepting other presentations related to amateur radio and science. So I think, Nick, that's literally right in your wheelhouse. No question about that.
Okay, I'll see what I can come up with then, because I may be able to make it there myself this time. So, okay, I will see what I can come up with.
Oh, that'd be outstanding if you'd show up. I mean, the weather in Cleveland is, well, I don't know if it's better or worse than BC, but some years it's fantastic, and other years
We all want to go to Victoria, believe me.
yeah.
You don't want to go over the next couple of days. There's supposed to be what they call an Arctic outflow, and maybe 15 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit, snow. It's going to destroy a lot of those nice little shoots that were coming up during December. But yeah, okay. I'll see what I can fit together for an abstract and see if that's acceptable. Okay, thanks.
I mean, the other option is too, as one to submit it, and I doubt this will happen. But say we had far more abstracts than we had time for presentations. There's also the poster sessions and stuff too.
Mhm.
And those
Yeah.
were a lot of fun last year. If you can, especially if you're there with your poster and you can interact with the people and sell your project, so to speak. That's
Yeah.
a nice way
Mhm.
around it too. So,
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
sure, sure. All right. Anything else? Call it a wrap. Okay, very good. Thanks everyone for your time and your efforts and your participation. We're just listening in case we needed you. So have a good week.
Okay.
If we don't talk to you, we'll see you next Thursday again, I hope. 73
you.
all.
73s. Take care, everybody.